Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. No Greg today, so it'll just be me. We got a good show lined up for you. I think we will have fun. We got a lot of college football to discuss, a lot of things that we need to get to. It is Vandy Week 4, Alabama. Are you nervous about this football game? We'll begin to discuss it, break it down just a little bit more, look at the pieces of it, parts of it, maybe how this thing's going to go and what it's going to look like. I don't know if the proper respect is being put on Vanderbilt yet again this year. Maybe some people's eyes have been open to them. Maybe some people look at it and say, yeah, this is going to be a dangerous football game. This one Alabama's got to play really well if they're going to go in, which is what I believe. I believe Alabama should win the game. I believe Alabama most likely will win the game. But is it one that you're legitimately nervous about? Is this one that you just kind of look at and say, more talent, better coaching staff, should go win it? Even after what happened last year. That was a one-off. We're not overly concerned with it, and we're going to go move on. Auburn off this week, so not a ton of time on the Tigers today. We'll look at a couple of other games around the nation. And I ask a couple questions about college football today. We got Trent Dilfer coming up at 7:30, UAB football coach, always with us on Wednesdays. We'll talk to him, get his thoughts on where his team is, what his team is going to look like for the rest of the season, and preview this weekend's game. Also, Aaron Feld's going to be in the 8 o'clock hour. If you don't know who Aaron Feld is, he is a longtime strength coach across college football, most recently with Miami. Walked away from college football, now looking into a new venture here back home. He's a Homewood kid, but now has the mustache if you don't know him. He's got the Raleigh Fingers mustache going, and it can be an interesting conversation. He'll be here the whole 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk to him about where college football is, the role of strength coaches, how strength training has changed, his thoughts on a couple of teams. I mean, obviously this Miami team looks like they are at least in the debate for the best team in college football. Maybe that's a direction that we go today as well. Do you think there is a clear-cut number one? That vision got a little bit cloudy for me over the weekend, just to be perfectly honest with you, when I watched Ohio State. Because I had been easily on board with Miami being that team, and I still probably believe that, but I also think now that Ohio State is in the running for that. Because there's two ways to look at it with Ohio State right now, in my opinion. One, you've got the people who are going to say, well, Julian Sands, he's not that guy. He's not big time. He can't go out there. And I bet a lot of people were saying that about Walker Howard in the beginning of last year. We know people said about Kyle McCord, and then he went to Syracuse and threw for 5,800 yards, whatever it was. He apparently wasn't big time either. I don't think they're even – I don't want to say they're being overprotective with Julian Sayin, but I don't think they're cutting him loose. They don't have to. They haven't really been threatened to the extent where they've had to say, all right, go out there and get it. The Texas game was going to be – we knew it was going to be that for both those teams. That was going to be walking on ice, walking on eggshells. What's another adjective for that, John? Tiptoeing in my Jordans.
Yeah, probably.
Jordans.
Yeah.
What happened to him, by the way? Is he still around?
Who, Jordan?
No. Tiptoeing in my Jordans. What's that guy's name? What's that guy's name, Damien? The stupid white rapper.
Yellow Wolf?
Yellow Wolf is not stupid, by the way.
I just wanted to see your
actually
reaction.
listening to Yellow Wolf over the weekend.
No, I know. I just wanted to see your reaction. Riff Raff.
Yes.
It was close.
Riff Raff. What happened to him? Is he still touring college towns? He was it for a minute. He had a little run. It was kind of a little underground thing, like the
sometimes all it takes is just being it for
him.
a minute.
And what was the other guy's name? Afro Puff? The college town rapper guy that had one song that was about.
Is it Afro Man?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did I say?
Afro Puff.
Same thing. Lady of Rage. It's all the same. Yeah, those guys, they had a little college tour going for a minute, and it was like the underground college rap scene. But Riff Raff was going for a second. God, there's so many people listening like he's an idiot. They don't know what I'm talking about. 14-7 over Texas. We knew what that game was going to be with Ohio State. You knew it was going to be both hands on the wheel, probably keep it in low gear, not going to play around with that one. Grambling, Ohio, not even a test. Those two games, they could have handed the ball off on every play and been fine. Based on what I saw from the offensive line, probably could have done that against Washington also, because Washington scored 6 points. But you have a really good receiver core. You have a violent offensive line. and you have a quarterback that can make the throws, but I just don't think he's been asked to yet. And by the way, the violence from the tight end position is there for Ohio State. I questioned before the season if it would be. Didn't really know because you had the transfer coming in that I thought was okay, but that group's getting after it. And they got Illinois next, who's coming off a nice win against USC. Illinois looked good over the weekend. Do we know who's number one? Is it clearly Miami? Is it Ohio State? Is it Oregon after what they did at Penn State over the weekend? I watch Oregon, and see, I don't want to categorize Oregon with other Oregon teams or what I've thought about Oregon in the past because I don't really think that's fair. But we do it all the time. We do it to Penn State. We do it to a lot of these other teams that we just feel like are the same team every year. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. Text in 205-834-9450. You can tweet in at Mac and Cube. Is there just a small classification of teams that we say, hey, this is tier one right now, and let's just leave those 3 or 4 up there, and then we'll move on. It'll be okay. Because that could be Ohio State, Oregon. Maybe some people are going to put Alabama there. Or maybe not, because that's another different direction we could go here with SEC power rankings if we wanted to do that. Because that's more discombobulated than the conversation of who's number one. And there were a couple of people a few weeks ago that were like, Indiana. And then they struggled with Iowa over the weekend, who was completely inept at quarterback. So I don't know if you can allow them to be there. And how much are we changing our opinion on teams that play in close games? Like Tennessee. Do we look at them and just say, yeah, they're not what we thought they were? I mean, Vanderbilt was trailing to Utah State, if I'm correct. I think that actually happened. Where's Notre Dame in all this? Because I'll tell you what, they look pretty good Saturday, putting up 56 against an SEC team. But we know they have the 2 losses. So are they going to be able to truly get back in the mix? Is that going to be a team that we think is there? There's something with Oregon when I watch them that's just they don't feel as capable as Ohio State and Miami when I watch them. And I feel like there are a couple other teams that are close here. I feel like there's a couple other teams that it's one thing here, one thing there. And just keep in mind, too, injuries is 1 or 2 away from these teams being very, very different and things being very different with these teams. Now, we know what the AP poll is. We saw what's-her-name, the AP poll voter, come out earlier this season and say that she essentially says pin the tail on the team when she votes. And teams that had lost that moved up and teams that had won moved down. So it's not going to be the end-all, be-all. But if we just went by that, Ohio State's 1, Oregon's 2, Miami's 3. You can't have Miami 3 right now. I don't care. I don't care if you live in Eugene. I don't care if you live in Portland. I don't care if you live in Columbus or Cincinnati. It was nice. I get it. But you can't say it was overly convincing. You can say what they did to Oklahoma State. Well, they fired their coach, so they've moved on from him. I don't know how you have Miami 3 right now. Ole Miss is the 4th team in the AP poll. Are they the number 4 team in the country? This is one thing that I thought was odd coming out of the weekend, specifically in the Southeastern Conference. I thought this was a little bit strange. I don't know if people saw it this way, felt this way. It felt like some games were almost forgotten about, like they didn't even happen. In other games, and John, I want to see if you sort of believe that this is where this went and came out with, and this was sort of the thought process more nationally than locally of how these games went. If you just read Twitter and listen to people talk about the game without going into detail, how many points do you think A&M beat Auburn by?
At least 75.
30 to 50, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood. If you just listen to Twitter and read or listen to what people are generally saying about a game, how many points do you think Alabama beat Georgia by?
Slightly more than what they did.
2 or 4 touchdowns.
They did better than what Auburn happened to them. Yeah, it was a good bit more.
I mean, it's just kind of weird coming out of the weekend of, listen, it was a huge win for Alabama. Nobody's going to discount that. It's a huge win for Ole Miss, but it's a big win, nice win for A&M. Did Auburn have the ball with a chance to take the lead late? Did Ole Miss have the ball with a chance to take the lead late? Did Georgia have the ball with a chance to take the lead late? But all those games, for some reason, our discussion point and the thought process and the mindset of how they went was that they were blowouts. And I'm not saying the wrong team won any of those games. By the way, if you ever did try to say that, what are you saying? That the wrong team won? I can understand wrong team favored, but if anybody ever walked around and said that the wrong team won the game, that would only be because you had money on the other side. I can't think of another way that you could actually defend that. It's not a real thing. Why are we more dismissive of teams that just lost this year? Because I thought we were heading down the new path of college football where if you lost, it wasn't over. Now it's, they lost, they're blown out. Throw it out. It's done. There were a couple of games like that last year, but I don't remember a ton. Like I remember South Carolina, Ole Miss. Everybody talked about how, Ole Miss blew them out. But if you watch the game, it was like 3 big plays. I think even Greg and I disagree on that. I just didn't think Ole Miss dominated the game when you watched it. Now, maybe if you actually, I do think A&M's front 7 dominated the game. I think that was a dominant facet of how they played and what they did to Auburn. And you could have the argument, I guess, that Auburn stayed in the game. We've talked about the Auburn defense. I don't believe that was a dominant performance. Other people do. I actually think that Colin Klein started to step on the gas pretty early in that one. Started to sort of throttle back a little bit. A little less concern on how things were going to be managed offensively. I think Alabama did play some things a little bit closer to the vest in the second half. They tried to get that run going some. And that, by the way, is not a real concern of mine. I'm still hearing that. I talked to a buddy of mine yesterday who I trust his football acumen about as much as anybody. He said, doesn't matter, Bama still can't run the ball. Here's a question for you. I feel like I've asked 50 here in the first segment. We'll try to answer some of these. Let's start just in the SEC, and then we can move around after that. Who can really run the ball? Ask yourself that question. Who can run the ball right now? Who do you look at and say, if they're on the schedule next for your team, by God, we better be able to stop the run? Who scares you that way? When you see that team, you say, well, they don't have the defensive line for that. No, there's the front 7. No, they don't tackle well enough for that because that team can run the ball. Because I go down the list in this league, and there are not very many of that. There are not very many teams that I look at and say, if you can't stop the run, you will not be in that game. Missouri would be one. Ole Miss? I'll give Lane and company credit. They stayed stubborn with the run against LSU, and it made a big difference. Left side of the offensive line was as good as I've seen them. Now, please don't misconstrue that to me sitting here telling you that was like, Notre Dame with Ronnie Stanley and Quentin Nelson blowing people off the ball. It wasn't that. It's just they got a hat on a hat, they strained, and Kejuan Lacey got tough yards. But I don't think you enter that game saying, if you don't stop Kejuan Lacey, you will not be competitive with them. Missouri is an absolute yes. Ahmad Hardy, give me a better running back in college football right now. Who's better? Vanderbilt, that's an interesting one. Because while I do think they can run the ball, follow me here, because this is going to sound ridiculous. If you're leaving early from school and the kids hear this, they're going to be like, that man should not be in front of a microphone. They can run the ball, but they can't just run the ball. Like Vanderbilt can't line up and run inside zone 42 times in a game, and it's going to go for 120. There's creativity with it. There's eye candy with it. There's deception with it. Missouri can run up and just run their base runs, I think, and find success. Now, Ahmad Hardy's not going for 280 on teams if they don't have splitters and motions and weird formations and counters with zone schemes that they're actually running it with. I mean, it's just, they do a lot of stuff. Oklahoma is an absolutely no outside of their quarterback leaving the pocket. Now, Texas A&M is an interesting one because I think Texas A&M is in that LSU neighborhood from last year where a lot of A&M fans and people that cover A&M are probably going to say, offensive line can't run block. When have they been presented that opportunity on a consistent basis? I would lean, you better be able to at least deal with the run right now if you're going to play A&M. But they live in Texas A&M reminds me of a Dallas resident right now. They want to live in the $1 million neighborhood. They might can't afford it yet. Like, they want to live in the air raid neighborhood. They really do. But they're like the $50,000 millionaire. I think that's what they call it. $100,000 millionaire. Basically, you're making 100 acting like you make $1 million. They can't live in the just run the ball neighborhood yet because they're really trying to live over on the other side of town in the air raid neighborhood. And they don't quite belong there. They've got the car, and they've got the haircut, and they've got the clothes. They just don't really have the bank account yet. Casey Concepcion is the Ferrari. They got him. Mario Craver is like the weekend Bentley. They got that. Convertible, maybe. But when it does get that once every 7 years snow, they don't have the GMC Sierra from Royal Buick GMC to hit four-wheel drive and get out there in the mud and go slinging it. Alabama is I don't know yet. I'm just going to say I don't know. Because I don't think Grubb has just said, hey, we're going to go out and we're going ground and pound. Like he did against, remember Missouri last year? And we had to remind Greg yesterday that Drew Pine played in that game. Because I think he thought that Missouri was actually a good team in that game. And with Drew Pine at quarterback, I think we found out pretty quick they were not.
Be the exact opposite.
You talk about fool's gold. That might be a great offseason discussion. Who were the biggest fool's gold players in the history of college football? Like that we were sold a bill of goods that individual just never got close to living up to the hype. And I know the first person people are going to say is Jeremy Johnson. Y'all did that to yourselves. There weren't a lot of people out there that were pushing that. You saw a half of football, and all of a sudden you all said to yourselves, yeah, this guy's going to be that guy.
That's him.
Georgia? No. LSU? No. And that's voluntary manslaughter from LSU's perspective. They did it to themselves. Although they did even up the formation 7 times against Ole Miss, guys. They're moving. They're moving that direction. South Carolina is a definitely no. Texas, I don't think so. I think they want to, but it's not there yet. Arkansas, no, unless the quarterback leaves the pocket. Florida should be able to, but can't. Auburn, no. Kentucky, no, but they're going to keep trying. I'll give them that. They will keep trying. They're going to continue to try to be that team, even though if they ever get down by 10, they're done. And the last one's Mississippi State. I will say the jury's still out, but just be patient with that one. Because I actually think that team can run the football. Now, the question is, can they just run the football? And maybe that's where none of these teams technically qualify. Missouri might be the only one. I didn't say Tennessee, but I think Tennessee can run the football. But without formations and without deep shots and without tempo, can they just run the ball? That's what I don't have an answer for. So we'll see. Tell you guys about the reliability of a train. You know, this is the time of year that you could be running your AC during the day and your heat at night. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years. They're the official cooling partner here at Jocks. Find a comfort specialist for you at train.com. It's hard to stop a train. Get to a break, come back, talk more about the 57 questions I asked you guys in segment 1, and then Trent Dilfer at 7:30. Next, right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. 800-239-WJOX. Tweet in at Mac and Cube. You can text in 205-834-9450. So where do we start here in this segment? Who can run the ball? Power rankings? Do we know who the best team is in college football? You guys decide.
White rappers?
I don't know if that was going to be a complete segment idea, but if that's the direction you feel like we need to go. Riff Raff not going to be in the top 5, I don't believe.
Nah.
I mean, Eminem's one, right? That's not even debatable.
Yeah, it's like Mahomes right now. Like we're figuring out 2 through 5.
Are there people that are moving off Mahomes as the best quarterback in the NFL right now?
I hope not. I mean,
Probably.
No, there's certain people who are.
I mean, Josh Allen, he can't beat Mahomes, but he's definitely talented.
Okay.
But I wouldn't put him over Patrick.
This is going to be it's not great for me because some of these new guys, I don't really know who they are. Like, what's the guy that I'm never going to – I think he was a guest picker when game day was in Kentucky because he's from Kentucky. Jack Harlow, is that his name?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is he in that category? He kind of does those things.
True.
Yeah,
It's like that Dave guy that's they got the FX show that's on that Buffalo Wild Wings commercial. Like,
yeah, I know.
Like,
You know his name, right?
it's like the Linkin Park singer. Like, he raps, but is he a rapper?
Everlast House of Pain might be in there. Yellow Wolf's in there for me, top 5 for sure.
Top 5?
I will wait for yours.
No,
I'll put all 3 Beastie Boys in my top 5.
That's it then. All right.
It's very limited.
Yellow Wolf, them Beastie Boys, and Eminem.
Who else are you going to get? Paul Wall? I'm
Yeah.
looking at a list right now who has Post Malone and Kid Rock in there.
Post Malone came out. He came out as a rapper, but
He pulled a Taylor Swift.
yeah, he's a pop star.
Yeah,
He's more of a pop star.
This list also has Weird Al Yankovic as 26. And John Cena at 30. So we can throw this list out
All right.
of
What website is that? Because we may never have to use that again. It feels like
imbd.com.
Oh, okay. All
Mr.
right.
Movie Man.
I was gonna say that felt like the PFF of lifts right there.
That's fair. Also has Pitbull at 42. Yeah.
Now, is
Bubba Sparks in the top 5?
I couldn't tell you. It's
People
been a
forget he had the original song to Game Day.
There are a lot of one-hit wonders
while. Right.
that are going to be in there.
So if you stood the test of time, you automatically top 5.
100%.
So all it took was
So where does Snow hit?
Not in the top 5.
Really? Wow.
Informer or not. Don't need it.
Is it on that list?
I did not see him on this list, no.
Okay.
I can't. Mac Miller is ranked high in both. I can't name a song that he sings. That's my fault. But
I think he got more popular after his passing. Because I really didn't listen to him, but there are a lot of people in college that used to rock with him.
So him, but not Macklemore.
He was terrible from the jump.
yeah, G-Eazy and Macklemore are in both, and I don't.
Trash.
I don't know if I have those here in this list. ELP, 21 Pilot. I don't know who these people are. Machine Gun Kelly is a rapper?
Now, he's kind of like Post Malone. Came out the gate as a rapper.
Yeah, but if you're going to be one of the best something rappers of all time, you have to stay in that genre.
Exactly.
This guy has
like
third
A-list
base.
or not.
The ranker.com list has third base at 27. They had their run. Back to the Hotel that will never die.
Still hits.
You can put on right this second. And it's good to go.
Somebody texted in Fred Durst.
I can't put him in that category.
I'd put him in over Kid Rock.
They're the same person.
Well, yeah, but
not anymore.
Oh, yeah, a little bit different.
But the ones we're talking about.
One used to wear a red hat. One now
More the
does.
same person. Yeah. Fred Durst still wearing a fitted hat backwards?
Somebody texted in Vanilla Ice.
Probably.
No, he's not. He's not in the top 5. He's not. Put Marky Mark in there, a.k.a. Mark Wahlberg.
Talking about the Wahlberg guy?
You hadn't seen some of his stuff? Go back.
I remember, was it New Kids on the Block, his brother?
Yeah, but no, he was
that's
a
correct,
legit artist.
He pulled a Post Malone. That's how he.
Yeah, so I just
he made the right move, just like Ice Cube did.
Yeah,
movie checks are a lot bigger than music checks.
Oh, absolutely.
If you can go get movie checks, you go get movie checks.
You can stay bad in movies and still get paid.
True.
I don't know about rapping.
Who's the best example of that all time?
You go from rapper to actor?
No. Stayed bad and kept collecting checks in movies for a long time.
Tyler Perry? To be fair, he's built to maybe as an actor, as an overall mobile. But
which aspect?
Just
he
straight
as
as Medea. Whew, that's an instant channel changer.
Ranker has Riff Raff at 65. I'd have him at least in the top 20. Just ability, he's in the top 20. It's not even close. By the way, I did get a text into the show that it used to be called North Dallas Millionaire. Made 50, but had a $3,000 a month rent, $1,000 a month lease BMW, etc. It's a real thing.
Okay.
It's a real thing. I think that's kind of where it feels like that's where A&M is right now. That's not really a knock. It's just I think there's a part of their offense that they don't really know what neighborhood they live in right now. They're still just trying to figure it out. Still taking a look at it. All right, when we come back, not John Summerall, going to join us. I don't know why I went there, but Trent Dilfer, UAB head football coach, is going to join the show, and we'll have him next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys being with us. 7:32, Wednesday, October 1st. UAB head football coach Trent Dilfer joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us every Wednesday Coach, how was the bye week? Take us through some of the things that happened that you were able to accomplish, how it was a little bit different.
I thought it was good. I think every coach is going to say that. You're trying to be optimistic. We had 2 really hard days, full pads, very physical, working on getting better at football. We need to get much better at football, so did some of that. Thursday, another physical day, not quite as physical, but kind of getting a little bit of a head start on Army. We've been introducing some of their stuff for a while, so I didn't want to overload the kids with Army, but get them comfortable with the mid front, for instance, and obviously the triple dynamics on offense. So that was productive. And they got some rest. As long as I'd ever given a group off or 3 days off. So I think coaches and players need a little break. And I had a grandbaby as well, so I got a chance to go see my third grandbaby.
Congratulations on that. That is incredible. I saw the picture as well. I know you're pumped up. It's interesting that you bring up that sort of slowly introducing what Army is and what they offer. Not comparing you to other coaches, but I remember I had Georgia spring game a couple of years ago, and Kirby was saying, he's like, yeah, this is when Paul Johnson was at Georgia Tech, and he said, we take 2 periods a day in the spring, 1 period a day in fall practice, 1 period, 1 day a week all season to prepare for the triple option. So is that the only way to do it, is to like chip away at it, sort of?
Yes. So I misrepresented our bye week. Defensively, it was all Army.
Well, yeah, of course this was, yeah. I'm interested in how you've, over time, you had that in there slowly, like letting guys see it a little bit so it didn't have to all just be this week.
Yeah, we had 1 period a day in the whole off-season program, too. So, the kids go out and walk and, player-led stuff. They would lead it. We met on it. During camp, we had, I want to say 4 days a week, we devoted a period and a walkthrough to it. So we've been devoting a ton of time to triple. And actually against Navy, our schemes were set up really well. We had about 18 opportunities to make plays in that game that we didn't, where we had free hitters and didn't make tackles. So it's working. I feel like we have a good beat on the triple option. Our players are in a position to make plays. Our coaches don't get caught off guard by the nuance and the changes week to week by it. But now we just got to make plays against it.
Absolutely. Trent Dilfer, UAB head football coach, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. We were having a conversation about running the football earlier in the show, and I don't want you usually can give good answers without pointing fingers at other coaches. I think you know that that's not the direction I would go, but I see so many teams that look like they're capable of it, but just don't dedicate themselves to it. Why is that hard for teams to stay dedicated to running the football?
It's hard when you can't. I think we all struggle with this as offensive coaches, is we all know that when you have balance, and in fact, when you're tilted heavier to the run, that's better for your team. I mean, less bad things can happen when you run the ball. I've heard coaches say that. I think it's a horrible way of looking at offense, but it's true. There's less bad things that can happen. Offensive linemen, I'm the son of one and of a son of a coach. That coach the offensive line, they like to go forward. They don't want to go backwards the whole game. When we run the ball, they get to go forward more often. You do wear the team out. But saying all that's all sounds good until you get stoned at the line of scrimmage and you're in 2nd and 9. Or you try to run it on 2nd and long, and now you're in 3rd and 6 and 7, and you have these exotic 3rd down pass rushes. I think this is the biggest reason why it's hard to stay totally committed to running the football, is when you throw it, you can get first downs on 1st and 2nd down and avoid 3rd down. And one of the most important statistical things there is out there right now as it relates to points per drive is 3rd down avoidance. It never gets talked about. But if you look at all these high-level analytics and you look at points per drive and DSSR, which are the 2 most important probably points, statistics in offensive football outside of turnovers, that when you avoid 3rd down, both those metrics get higher. So if you're not running the ball effectively, actually more than just efficiently, you're in a lot of third downs, and a lot of coordinators want to avoid those third downs. So I think that's the big long answer to it. Bottom line is you do have to be stubborn as a play caller to run the football, but you want to run it in your terms. You also don't want to let them dictate when you're running it, because there's so many. Here's another one. I'll just get geeky with football. These guys are getting NFL-ish in the defensive side of the ball, where they're playing a lot of too high shells, but pirate stunning and chopping up the fronts to beat your run game up. So they're saying, hey, please run the ball. We're in a too high shell. But then they're chopping up the front, and you have offensive linemen that haven't played a long time together, so they're not able to trade off the gains as well up front. And you're like, well, that should be an ideal run look, but then you get this defensive line game, and it ruins your run game, and you're like, well, that didn't make any sense.
Absolutely. Trent Dilfer, UAB head football coach, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. So the challenge is this offense has morphed a little bit over the years and is a little bit different now than it has been traditionally, and not just triple option anymore. How much more complicated is it to defend?
It's brutal. It puts so many players in conflict, and it does what is the hardest thing to do at our level of defensive football, which is tackle. There's so many one-on-one tackles because everybody has to be so assignment-oriented that they're handling their gap, or they're tackling the fullback, or they're tackling the quarterback, or I have the pitch guy, and that's all I'm focused on. That you create a lot of these one-on-one matchups with ball carriers, and tackling at our level isn't very good. And it forces a lot of those tackles. And then the passing games have evolved. You know, Army won't admit this because they hate each other, but they definitely studied Navy in the offseason, because they've introduced some of Navy's offensive wrinkles that wizard up there Navy does. And so their passing games evolve a little bit more. So they get you in these run-only looks on defense where you've devoted 11 assets to the run game, and then they slip people behind you. And they have good athletes. 15 Short, who I ironically went to high school with my daughters, it could start at anybody in our conference. He could start anywhere in our conference. He could start at Memphis. He could start at Tulane. He could start at USF. He would start here. He's a fantastic skill position player. He's very versatile. He can run. He can catch. He's extremely fast. He's strong. He's explosive. So they do a lot of things to kind of get you focused on one thing, and then get 15, the ball slipping behind the defense. So it's incredibly difficult to defend.
Absolutely. Any changes from a lineup perspective, playing time, rep perspective that we should be watching for you guys this weekend?
I think there'll be some things that'll change. We had a competitive week of during the bye, which I said, and there's plenty of position battles going on. I think you have some offensive linemen that are competing for playing time. I think you have receivers that are competing for playing time. On the defensive side of the ball, I think you'll see linebacker, safety rotations going on, because we have guys that have elevated themselves. So, it's when we're not dominant in any position, but we have a lot of good players. We have a lot of good young players that people don't know about, and those players continue to get better. And as they get better, we want to be able to get them on the field.
Absolutely. All right, Coach, we appreciate the time always. We love catching up with you, love talking football with you. Best of luck this weekend. We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Sir. Trent Dilfer joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Our preparation for Army is never simple, and a lot of it does not look exactly the way it did in the past when you're talking about that Army offense and just lining up running triple option. A lot of it's out of shotgun now. There are some pass concepts that actually exist inside of it, and it complicates it. It makes it much more difficult. However, they're still going to run the football. Fourth nationally in rushing yards per game at 286 per. Navy would be 1. Florida State would be 2. Missouri 3 in rushing yards per game right now, if you're looking for just sort of where that lies. So UAB gets Army this weekend, 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. When we come back, some of the other questions we were discussing, talking about, you'll hear from Ty Simpson on Vanderbilt, as well as Aaron Feld in studio the entire 8 o'clock hour. Next, right here on Jocks. Welcome back here, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 7:46 Wednesday, October 1st, right here on Jocks. You can listen online. You can find the app in your app store, iPhone, Android. Download it for free. Always tune in that way. Or just tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jock skill.
Jocks and Total Sports Travel are giving you the chance to see Alabama take on South Carolina in Columbia. One lucky winner scores a trip for two, round-trip airfare, and a 2-night stay at the Ryder Hotel in Charleston. 2 tickets to Saturday's game and transportation to and from the stadium. Text the keyword TIDE, T-I-D-E, to 205-834-9450 to enter. Don't miss your shot at the ultimate game day experience, courtesy of Total Sports Travel and Jocks.
All right, so let's go back to a couple of the things we were discussing a little bit earlier in the show. I want to go to power rankings now, since I have both of you here in studio. If you were ranking SEC teams, how do you feel like that would go for you? I will go based on, as we shared a little bit earlier, the AP poll. Not that we think this is the end-all, be-all. Not that we think that this is exactly the way it should be. But if you went via the AP poll, number 4 in their poll is Ole Miss. That would make them number 1 in the Southeastern Conference. Oklahoma would come in at 5. Now, for me, Oklahoma might be just a smidge lower than number 2 in the SEC because I don't know your quarterback situation right now. Mm-hmm. And sure, you have a backup that has played, but he's not anywhere near what the starter is, and the starter is a major portion of why you are where you are. So that's not going to be there. Texas A&M comes in at 6. That would make them 3rd in the SEC. Texas comes in at 9, which would make them 4th in the SEC. Alabama comes in at 10, which would make them 5th. How would you rearrange, Damian, your top 5 SEC teams if you were to rank them today?
Alabama would definitely be above Texas. Ole Miss would be number 1. And I'm kind of with you. Oklahoma, depending on the John Mateer situation, how healthy he is. I mean, Michael Hawkins Jr. can tread water, but I don't necessarily think that he gives them the edge that Oklahoma truly would have if John Mateer was 100%. So I definitely have Alabama over Texas, and then you can have a discussion with. I mean, I honestly would probably have Missouri a little bit higher.
That's a team that would be in my top 5. Also, we did this Monday night on Read and React. I was actually trying to remember the order in which I had my teams there. But John, which direction would you go if you're ranking SEC teams?
I think as it stands right now, Ole Miss is a clear number 1, just off what they've done. And even though you may want to put someone else there, based off what we've seen so far, Ole Miss has to be number 1. You can make good arguments for a lot of others. Like I can make a good argument for having Alabama number 2, but I still feel like right now it's still Texas A&M. And then at that point, it feels like Alabama should be there, but I think I have to put Missouri there. Again, based off what they've done and what we've seen. Then I think Alabama's 4. Then at 5, I probably would put Georgia.
Whoa. No mention of Tennessee, by the way.
I think Tennessee was the other team I was considering.
Who do you think has the best win in the SEC right now? Is it Alabama at Georgia?
I think so. Best conference win, yes.
But I'm just win in general. Alabama has the best loss, or Georgia has the best loss. I mean, that's gotten tricky over the last week and a half.
Yeah.
Because Alabama was easily there. Then maybe Tennessee was there, but you were at home. Georgia, you were at home, lost to Alabama. I mean, not right this second, it might be LSU on the road to number 4, Ole Miss. Ole Miss would be one for me right now, and I'm going to be honest with you. That's not just because of the win they got against Ole Miss. It's in where that stands or their schedule, which is not daunting by any stretch of the imagination. I just think they're as good or better at multiple facets on their football team than these other teams we're talking about. I actually think this is really going to change in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I might have Texas A&M 2. And then I'm going to go Alabama 3, Oklahoma 4, Missouri or Tennessee 5. This Texas at number 9 is, somebody's got to explain that to me. You have to give me what you think is a top 10 football team-ish or description that you've seen from Texas this year to have them there. I think the defensive line plays well in spurts. I think you have an active group of linebackers, multiple. I think the secondary's been pretty good. I don't think it's been tested either. And when you look at the Texas schedule, I don't know. Ohio State, I mean, yeah, Jeremiah Smith was there, but they didn't cut the ball loose in that game. Mm-hmm. San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston. That's the number 9 team in the nation.
Right.
I can't do that.
They haven't put a full 4 quarters together against a quality opponent.
Well, the offensive line can't get it going. The running backs and receivers are being tackled one-on-one at a rate that should be very alarming to people that pay attention to the team. Quarterback's been inconsistent. They can't protect the quarterback, which is a part of the reason he's inconsistent. I just wouldn't have him there. There are no tests there at all. With Ole Miss, I can at least point to, okay, Kentucky's a physical team that wants to get after you. Taylor Green's a talented quarterback. Mm-hmm. Tulane's a good football team that had a quarterback playing at a high level going into that game. Now, he did not play well at all in that football game. And LSU's a team that people thought was going to playoff. Some people still do, which I need to hear an explanation for that one.
Because they're going to decide to run the ball, Cole.
They're not. That's not going to take place, but it's okay. They also can't protect their quarterback, and their quarterback still – what do we say about the turnover genome?
Once it's in you, it's in you.
Can't rewire it. There are no Jurassic Parks for quarterbacks in college football. You cannot rewire those chromosomes. They stay there. They might be a little different over time and refine themselves with age, but they don't go away. And there were about 11 other throws that could have been intercepted in that game that were thrown into traffic. So I think if you're talking about a team that I still look at that could move the most, it'd probably be Alabama. I think here's the scary part about this. A lot of these teams are who they are right now. And I'll say this, there's a lot about Oklahoma that is that. Mm-hmm. Like Oklahoma is John Mateer making plays and a nasty defense. There feels like a part of that could sort of go away. Because, again, you go back to the Auburn game. What was the score of that game? 24-17. Auburn had the ball late with a chance. But what is our perception of that game?
Oklahoma just ran up and down the field.
240-17.
Why is that not that for every game? And why do we not give credit on the other side of that? Like, why does Mississippi State not get credit for hanging with Tennessee? And I don't hear a lot of people that are giving Tennessee credit for hanging with Georgia. And by the way, not having the ball with possession to win, a kick away from winning.
Yeah, because like your kids have shown you, you're either great or trash. There's no in between anymore.
And that's when you ask who had the best win, kind of looking back on it, Georgia over Tennessee going into Neyland kind of looks like
that might be the best win.
That might be the best win.
So let me raise you one. Who has the best win in college football right now? Because we're almost not able to say it because in 3 weeks, it might be Miami over Notre Dame. After what Notre Dame just did to Arkansas, if they keep doing what they're doing, maybe some people will wake up and say, CJ Carr pretty good. Jeremiah Love pretty good.
One of my notes, that's why I asked about earlier non-conference because I was thinking A&M.
Oregon just went into a whiteout and beat Penn State, a team who's still in the top 7, top 6 in the coaches poll. So is it that one? Is that it? Is that the best win in college football? Could it be, and I'm just throwing this out there for fun, expletives and giggles, the fact that Indiana beat Illinois, then a top 10 team, by 53 points.
Right.
Like, that's not one that perceptionally won by 53, actually did win by 53.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, not a lot of people are going to jump on board and say, oh, yeah, beat Illinois that way. I'm just saying you beat a team that we all believe is pretty good by 50 points.
Yeah.
That feels like that deserves to be in the conversation, at least.
And then Illinois, what they just did to USC over
only
the
helps
weekend,
that.
Only helps the argument.
So I don't know if we can even say right now we can say it, but it's going to be very different who has the best win and who has the best loss and who is maybe even what is also going to change. Because it's hard to go back and look at, because even 2 weeks ago, even maybe before Friday night, a lot of these answers were very different.
It could happen this weekend with Indiana and Oregon.
Yeah.
Whoever wins that one, you arguably could say it.
Well, you got to think Mississippi State's win over Arizona State.
I don't know about best win in college football, but it's their best win, and it's a much better win than they're probably getting credit for.
Yeah.
Aaron Fell's asking if he should take the stairs or does he like try to climb the building. Like, we'll get somebody down there.
I got you, big dog.
We're coming.
Hold on.
All right. Aaron Feld, former college strength coach at multiple stops, will be with us in our next segment. Would it be Vanderbilt winning at Alabama?
And we've seen it before.
Not there, we haven't. With everything historically that is at stake there, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Vandy's never won 2 in a row against Bama. I haven't even seen the tape on that, but that's just a hunch that
feels
I have.
right.
Aaron Feld.